Joe Bean,
Joe Bean, let me tell you
what
something.
is some differences than other people?
Joe had a competitive year last year, and I was shocked. And I was actually proud of him, and I was rooting for him. I don't know if people remember, I was rooting for him during the year, even towards the end of the year. And I was right there with him, and there were a couple teams right in that circle, and I even looked at him. I said, Joe, if any team that's up here can win it besides me, I really want it to be you, because I really wanted him to be up there. But you know what? He's stubborn, Rich. He's stubborn. He's arrogant.
God. Arrogant.
You know what turned my whole,
you remember what he did
whole thing? The football draft.
Are you going to talk about the football draft?
I have to talk about the football draft. He walked into the football draft, nose in the air.
How about at the end of the draft?
And at the end of the draft, well, let's talk about the beginning of the draft when he walked in, nose in the air, and he's bragging to 24 home run to Chris and Anthony.
Oh, Anthony, not Chris.
Not Chris, but he's bragging to one half of that team, and he has their nose up at them. They win championships. They won championships, and you're bragging to them. There are other people in the room you could brag to. Those weren't one of them. And at the end of the draft, Rich, you're right. He came over, and he was just almost laughing in our face, and his arrogance and his stubbornness, and it was really, really starting to bother me, Rich.
I thought you were going to hit him.
No, I would never hit him.
I almost hit him.
I don't take it to violence. I would have laughed. If you hit him, I would have laughed.
He was insulting to Christian. He was insulting to you. He was like, he had this attitude like he's got it on lockdown, and he was like so. Well, you trying to talk to him, and you couldn't even get the thought across.
You can't get a word in.
And you know, I think that there might be a couple of people in the league that if they were there sitting there, they would not like him. Like, I could see Christian not liking him.
You know what? I can see
and
that.
Christian likes a lot of people.
And I like a lot of people, and you have to really piss me off. That day, he really pissed me off. I left that draft that night.
Like,
I said, you know what? No matter what happens, I want to take him out. I'm going to win.
Yeah.
I want to win, and I got motivated after that. And I don't think you should ever be that cocky, especially when for the last 5 years that I known him, you're always at the bottom.
Yes.
And after I started breaking down and evaluating his team last year, he did a lot of that with luck, Rich.
Yeah, 100%. He got lucky. I mean, that's what Joey does. He relies on luck, you know, because when it comes to management, he's afraid to do things. He's not willing. You know, he's loyal. That's where the luck comes in. He'll draft a guy 3 years in a row.
Yes.
So these are part of the problems we have with Joey and why he's on this part one video of teams that can't make it. He repeatedly drafts the same players. He refuses to give from strength. So he'd rather keep a guy on his team and keep him there and have those beautiful looking stats on his team and not go after what he needs. And then his waiver wire skills are so bad. I mean, remember he was on that middle reliever kick? I mean, when you're picking up middle relievers, you're not doing any work.
It does nothing for you. I mean, those are like gone and lost stats that you can never get back.
What kind of strategy is that? He had the back-to-back pick last year. He changed 16 of his 25 drafted players.
Yeah, that's a little high.
A little high. He drafted a lot of hurt guys, 4 or 5 guys that were like, you know, long time hurt, like not back in a week, like 5 to 6 weeks. Yep. Clogs up your system. He seemed content on a money finish. He didn't seem content on winning.
He never went for it, Rich. And I'll tell you, there was times, and Walter and I discussed it many times during the year. We looked at each other and says, you know, if Joe goes for it, he's going to win this league. He had the best team. Luck or not, he had the best team. He should have won it. If you give that team last year to 9 or 10 teams in the league, they're going to go out and win that league.
Possibly.
Yeah, and I don't think that he did it. He was afraid a little bit.
He made that one bad trade where he needed something because he walked out of the draft room without addressing it. Because that comes from another reason why these guys are here. They're not prepared, and he never addressed it during the season. When he finally did, he got countered. He needed a specific position more than anything, and he was getting counters for a better person at that position, a better style of that type of pitcher, but he was more concerned with the hitter he was getting back to replace the hitting he was giving up, and there was a bad mentality. So he blew the counter off aspect here, and I think that's one of the things with Joey would experience, because in the past he doesn't do anything when he's having a bad year. When it came to when he needed to know how to do something, he didn't know how to do it because he wouldn't do it before.
Fair enough.
You know, I think that you know.
Aside from these 5 years, though, Does he have a history of winning? Because I don't know him aside from these 5 years.
Well,
You know
he
him a lot
has. He
longer.
won
I
the
know
time
really a lot.
when I ran this league years ago, and then a friend of ours took it over, and then Joey and Torch took it back, and then I took it back from Joey and Torch. And in the first year that Torch and Joey started running it, he won the title, 2006.
Oh, okay. So he has a title in the last 10 years.
He does have a title,
fair.
and that's saying and he's got 3 titles in my history with him.
I thought that's a lot
But
of
that
titles.
spans over a long time, but it's really what about his style now? In the last 8 years, he's useless, and
I don't think he adjusted well to the new style. Of
No, the game's much
drafting
more
and
competitive.
the new style of fantasy.
But I'm going to give him 350 to 1 odds. That's Joseph Sayambeni and the Bombers. He's got no shot, and if it wasn't for
better
luck,
shot than Darryl. Okay.
if it wasn't for luck, he's probably going to be one of the teams challenging for last place.
That's fair.
Moving on to the third pick of the draft was the
Bombers.
Bombers. And before we go any further, Sal, Joey was a mess. But it's funny because after we look at this team, you're going to be like, this is not that bad. But, I mean, how can someone withstand a barrage like he was taking drafted? Was he about to cry? You could see him more than I. Did you ever look at him at all?
He was tough, and you know what? Who's older? Who's older?
He's
You or
older,
him?
he's older.
He's older. But it's a little weird to me how he looks for recognition from you during the draft, and if he doesn't get it, then he gets disappointed, and then when he gets it, he's like so excited. I'm like, Joe, don't care what that fucking guy's telling you right now. Worry about your draft. And I think he got bombarded, and it shook him up, and he never recovered all draft from that. I mean, to start off the draft and boom, blockbuster, Cabrera third, and Harper is still out there. That's his first of a couple of mistakes, I think, during the draft.
Yeah, and Joey threw off the draft immediately. Bryce Harper not being taken. He takes Miguel Cabrera. This is what Joey does, pick after pick. Joey was just getting it from the whole draft room. I mean, the Chris Carter pick.
Well, he was really getting it from you.
From me. But I know a lot of people.
Some of us helped.
Didn't he say, or didn't someone say that he called Bryce Harper Kevin Moss?
Well, after the draft, the people were questioning him, and he was talking to TCal, and I heard it, so this is 100% fact. He said he did make the Kevin Moss comparison. And
which is amazing.
That just shows how much this guy, he must be stuck in the past or something. I don't know what he's thinking.
I mean, Didi Gregorius in the 13th round. Didi Gregorius would have never got drafted. You know what I mean? Chris
he's
Carter.
Probably got to be a Yankee fan. Is he a Yankee fan? That's
Yeah,
the only
he
reason
is, but he don't watch baseball. Chris Carter in the 11th round, he could have had a lot of guys.
Did you just tell me he doesn't watch baseball?
He really don't watch
So then
baseball.
that's part of the problem, I think.
Let me
That's
just
why
go
he
over here
struggles.
real quick. Kevin Kiermaier, I mean, how many times are you going to pick this guy?
Yeah. How about Oder in the 5th round?
Rougned Odor, he was probably going to go more like 7th. I thought he got Odor and Kinsler a little rounded too early. Then you take Wade Davis in the 7th, and then you forget about closers the rest of the draft. Why?
If you're gonna take a closer early, you have to back him up with another closer.
And that's where you waste Didi Gregorius. Why you could have took or Chris Carter, take your other closer in that spot.
I agree, totally agree. You don't go after a great closer and then back him up with nothing. I mean, it's like having a wasted position now. You have to either strengthen it up or you're gonna have to trade Davis. One of the two.
It's not. He put himself in the same position as last year.
Yeah.
Coming out of the draft without the closers, and I don't know. You got to learn from your experiences. And then in the back end of the draft, Scott Feldman, Carlos Beltran, Jake Peavy, David Hernandez. That was his other closer. J. Happ, Matt Adams, Chris Medlin.
One of the other funny parts of the draft with the Carlos Beltran pick, Bean said, "quote I'd rather have Darryl playing my outfield than Beltran."
I said
Hilarious.
that.
It was pretty funny. So
Carlos Beltran could barely walk. To get through with Joey, because we don't want to waste our time on him that much. The only pick that might save Joey's reputation from being a total disaster was Matt Holliday in round 15. But a lot of outfielders were kind of going late for some reason. Joey went into this room unprepared, loyal, old name tangent the rest of the way. He struggled with the closers last draft, and he did it again. Moustakas went way too early. Verlander again, loyalty to him. Salvador Perez in the 12th round. I mean, just think about it. He went Chris Carter, Salvador Perez, Didi Gregorius. You know the players you could have got? There's just no plan coming from Joey. And he deserved the criticism and the barrage all day. And I don't want to waste any more time talking with him. He's a last place contender, 500 to 1.
Wow.
And Joey, you gotta come into these drafts, because you
That's
just
about right.
embarrass yourself year after year after year after year. And you are just, you know, people, all the comments that people call me up the next day.
And not only that-
Bryce Harper!
with not only to pair up the bad draft, we know you're horrible on the waiver wires.
Yes.
And
You know where
never
to be found.
trade.
You'll never trade.
So
the good thing about it is,
you might as well just.
that's why it was Bryce Harper was on his team, because he would be there the whole year wasting fucking
Right.
time. Instead, he's on a guy that's probably gonna do something. 501.